Weezy out of here. Weezy out of here.
Well, I'm fucking pissed off if this fucking card gets canceled due to the fucking coronavirus.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to be fucking pissed.
I know.
That would not be good.
I know. I want to see Oliviera beat that ass. So hopefully it doesn't get canceled.
Fucking.
It was business as usual.
Sorry.
What was that? So anyways, fucking. Apparently, I mean, just today, I'm sure y'all seen it on the NBA got suspended indefinitely.
Yeah, I saw that on the way home. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fucking big. That's a fucking big deal. And then I'm reading some threads, hearing that the mayor or the governor of UFC Brasilia is planning on like suspending sporting events and shit like that. And I'm reading all this news, so I'm like, fuck, this would really, really suck.
Yeah. I mean, like, I honestly don't see the event happening if the governor, because it came out today. So if he said that today, and it's gonna go on for like the rest of this week, I mean, like, and obviously the UFC has more than 100 people attending the event, which means they would cancel it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't see how it's gonna go on, but I mean, hopefully it does.
Right. So I guess we'll. I mean, hopefully they man. I mean, it's already fucking Wednesday. I don't know how they're gonna relocate everybody, unless they have like all the fighters come out and fight in an empty arena or some shit like that. That would be best case scenario, But that'd be fucking weird.
No, but like that's really what they should do. They should have them all fight in an empty arena, just refund everybody's tickets, and even if they just put it on TV in Brazil for free, like just to pay back the locals, like that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that still happens, so that way we, have our opportunity to play this card,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. This is crazy. This I feel like this is a movie right now. Like all this, like how this is affecting the sporting events.
Yeah. Did you watch that? Did you watch that video? Go ahead.
Video?
You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was gonna mention, like, I just fucking read on Twitter that fucking Tom Hanks got diagnosed. It's not funny, but like, what the fuck, Tom Hanks and Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz also apparently tested positive for the coronavirus. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
The fuck? God damn. Hopefully Tom doesn't get killed or die. I mean, that would suck.
Yeah, exactly right. That would freak everyone out,
Yeah.
Even more so than it is now. So, anyways, let's get it moving.
Yeah.
So welcome back to the show, Rent Free MMA. We're gonna be breaking down UFC Brasilia, Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira. My name is Johnny, and my two guests returning are Lemon Zest and Puerto Rican. What up, fellas?
Yo, let's get down to it.
What's up?
Let's get down to it. So what we do here is we break down the fights from the prelims all the way up to the main event. We break down skill sets of each fighter and analyze how they match up together, and we break down the odds from a betting perspective. So how you guys liking the card? I actually really like it. There's a lot of good fights, and the main event is actually pretty good too.
I mean, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh shit, it's gonna be like, I'm gonna love this card. I mean, overall, it's gonna be a good card, but there's a few fights where I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like the first two fights, I guess, are kind of, I'm not really excited for. But I guess the rest of the card, after the first two fights, actually no, after the first three fights, I'm excited for. But the first three fights are like, I'd rather not see them.
Are they female fights? Is that what you're talking about?
2 out of 3 are low-level female fights, and the other one is like 2 guys I've never heard of.
Okay, you know what? Let me take over, because I actually have an idea of what David Dvorak can bring to the table. But what about your thoughts, Lemon Zest? You're liking this card or what?
Yeah, I think this is a good card for like hardcores like us. Like a lot of hardcore fans probably are interested in this card, but like there's not a lot of star power on it, But it's one of those things where what are you gonna do on Saturday? If you're a hardcore, you're just thankful there's something to watch, So I think it's decent for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see some action on here, and yeah, let's kind of get down to it. Okay, first fight of the night we have Bea Malecki versus Veronica Macedo. The cutie Macedo is sitting at -170. The comeback on Malecki is plus 150. I don't know much about this Malecki chick. She looks like a tall girl though, and she apparently has a really prolonged reach advantage. And she's also goddamn, she's 6 inches taller. She's 5'10" and 135 pounds, and Veronica is 5'4". Wow. I mean, Veronica, I'm gonna let you guys take this one. What are your thoughts?
I mean, for me, like, I don't really remember too much about Malecki aside from her being kind of easy to hit. But in this fight, she's facing a shorter fighter who's not good at punching. She's mediocre at best at kicking because she has a
Yeah,
background in
she's more of a kicker.
some kicking martial art as well as
It's
jujitsu.
like Taekwondo or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think Macedo's hands are going to be too much of an issue, but I'm also not sure about Malecki's takedown defense. So there's that. I do know that Macedo, she's a brown or black belt, but it's in a gi. So she's not like that's why when she first came into the UFC, we're like, oh, she's a brown or black belt. She's going to be good on the ground, and she didn't really show much until her last fight where she kind of just was given a good position. So I mean, for me, I'm not really even sure who's going to win. Plus, Macedo's going back up from 125 to 135, if I remember correctly, and she was already small at 135, so it makes no sense why she'd win a fight at 125 and then go back up to 135 where she's automatically the smaller fighter. So
10
I'm
inch,
not
10-inch
10
reach
inches.
advantage and a 6-inch height advantage. So this is a skip if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Lemon?
I like Macedo. Like in that most recent fight with Vienna, she was like on bottom and she like reversed it into an armbar. Like it's pretty badass. Like for low level like women's fights. Like I think Macedo's gonna win this fight. I like at -170. I'm not running to bet it, but like I like it. I think Macedo's gonna win. Malecki is not good. She's like super tall, super skinny. Yeah, I feel like Macedo is actually a martial artist, like albeit low level. But Malecki's, I just feel like she's not a real fighter, and she's from like Scandinavia, which I just don't like the fighters from there because they just have bad pedigree. You know what I mean? Whereas Macedo at least is coming from like jiu-jitsu land in Brazil, so I feel like this fight will go to the clinch, and I think Macedo is gonna because that neutralizes the size advantage to some degree. Like if you're out in space striking, Malecki will have range, but I think it will go to the clinch, and I think Macedo's gonna school her.
If I was going to bet this fight, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Malecki, but if I was going to bet this fight, I'd wait until after the weigh-ins just because, like, how she's, like, so much bigger than Macedo. It opened at, -225, and now it's -170. So I'm sure that line's going to get more, better for you if you're going to take Macedo.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's true, yeah.
I'm gonna be rooting for her. She's very pretty, so I kind of want to see that face again.
And that ass too. She's nice.
All right, moving on. So we have the next fight. We have flyweights. David Dvorak making his debut against Bruno Silva, which is Cejudo's little homie. Bruno Silva is the favorite, -120, and the comeback on David Dvorak is +100. Now I didn't really know too much about either guy. I just read that Bruno Silva was Cejudo's little protege or whatnot. I mean, we all saw his last fight. He got pretty much murdered by Khalid Taha.
Yeah.
But apparently that dude was on steroids or whatever, so kind of hard to really tell what exactly this guy brings. But it looked like he was wrestling. You know, he had some wrestling techniques. He had a nice little power double. I'm sure he learned it from Cejudo. He also looks like a kicker as well. He's like throwing spin kicks and stuff like that. So he looks like a kicker and a wrestler, from what I've seen. And if you kind of like briefly look at his record, he has a split draw against Casey Kenny. So for whatever that's worth, I don't know. I couldn't figure out where to find that fight online. But and then a couple other weird losses on his record as well. Like he has a split decision against a 5'5" guy. So. Really hard to tell what this guy's made out of, and there's really no tape out there on him. So, I'm not really sure. But I did look up this David O'Rourke dude. He looks pretty good. Did you guys do any tape watching this guy?
I did not have any time to watch any tape because it's been super busy for me.
Sure. What about you?
Yeah, I watched a little bit, and I feel like he's a lot more active than Bruno.
Mhm.
And his I'm not sure about his stand up. Like he's very tentative, and then he just rushes in and throws some big overhand rights. But yeah, and then in one of the fights I watched, he did have a pretty slick like back take to rear naked choke. So I think he's good. I think he's a pretty good fighter. And then when I was digging up some stuff on Bruno Silva, it was like in a weird promotion, but he actually finished Alexander Shlemenko in like it was like some type of kickboxing promotion or something. So this is interesting fight. They're two kind of like not really known guys. I would have a hard time having a strong lean either way though.
Okay.
What's the line?
The line is -120 Bruno Silva, and the comeback on David is +100.
Okay.
So I didn't really know much about this David guy. There still isn't really much to know about him because if you look at his record, most of the guys he beat are just 0-2 guys or 3-4 guys. Like there's certain, he hasn't really beaten anybody of note. The last guy he beat though was 16-3, so that's kind of the only thing we can go off of. But just from my eyes, just from what I saw, was that he had a pretty good jab. Like he works behind his jab a lot. He has pretty good stand up. I mean, in the pocket, he was landing in the pocket. He had some pretty good head movement in the pocket. He had some decent kicks. He threw a nice little overhand. He looked like he had some pretty decent wrestling as well, and he has some decent range strikes as well. He looks pretty well rounded. It's just that he hasn't been tested against anybody who can actually like fight back.
Mhm.
So it's kind of hard to tell. But just from skill wise, it looks like he has it. He's got he works everything behind his jab, and everything else floats from there. So I kind of like what I'm seeing here. It's just really up to him to kind of prove it to himself to see if his skill set can actually translate against UFC level competition. So it's kind of up in the air. I'm gonna go ahead and pick David Dvorak. And I'll probably put money on him as a +100 dog. I'm not gonna do that much just because who the hell really knows how good this guy really is, and same thing for Bruno Silva. So it's hard to recommend anybody to put too much money on it, but I'm gonna put something on Dvorak just for some action, and I like what I see. So that's my pick.
I was looking at Dvorak's his record, and so he in his first 2 years of fighting, he went to decision 4 times, 4 out of his first 6 fights or so. And then since like 8 years ago, he hasn't went to a decision at all. All the fights have added inside the distance in like the first or second round. So my question is, I'm wondering if he can't get that finish, is he going to be able to go 3 hard rounds?
I think so. I mean, his style isn't like he's not out here like throwing like haymakers or nothing. Like he kind of keeps it technical. So I don't really see why he couldn't go 3 rounds. So he looks okay to me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I get where you're coming from. Though it makes sense. Like guys facing everybody on the regional. Like what happens if he goes to decision? Like it's kind of hard to figure out. But I don't
Also,
know. Kind of like
sorry,
his
go
style.
ahead.
So yeah, no, go for it.
Oh, and the last thing I was going to say, so aside from the 8 years since he hasn't went to a decision, or even seen the 3rd round, is this his first fight in a different on a different continent, like especially Brazil?
It looks like it. Doesn't look like he's ever fought anywhere. So that's going to be a huge factor as well. Him flying out to Brazil. So that's why I say I wouldn't bet too much money on this fight because we don't know how the fuck that's going to affect him either. So again, it's just for action. I'm just going to put some money on him just for action. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to recommend anybody follow suit.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like who the hell can come up with this? Who the heck knows? So mystery fight. All right. So moving on. We have Marina Moroz versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Okay. And this one, Bueno Silva is -145. The comeback on Moroz is +125. Any of you guys have a lead on this one?
So basically, before I say anything, I think Marina will probably win a decision via her better striking, kind of just like I guess keep her at the end of her jab. Her jab is like pretty much all she has on the feet, and
She's an air
then
puncher.
yeah,
A
so she has
glorified air puncher.
yeah, so like if she can land her jab consistently, then she'll do all right. But aside from the jab, she doesn't have much, so I think it'll go to the decision. But with Silva, it's like I'm not really impressed with her as an overall fighter. If it's not going to the ground, then I don't know. She doesn't really look too impressive. She's decent to look at, but like physically, face wise. But I mean, as a fighter, she seems like a basic jiu-jitsu
Basically?
fighter. Yeah, basic. Yeah, basically a basic.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
A basic. It's like a triple B, basic Brazilian B. So I mean, so I mean, she could win just because Moroz is not anything special, and on the ground, she's decent on the ground, but she mainly has that one setup to get a sub. Was it like a armbar? I think it was,
They
or
both
yeah,
look like they're armbar people.
yeah. So I mean, if Moroz doesn't get an armbar, she's not anything special on the ground, but yeah, I think it's gonna go to decision with Moroz possibly winning, but then it is in Brazil, so that's another thing to think about.
Sounds like another no bet for me, but
Yeah, total pass for me
Yep.
too.
Yeah, I'm leaning Moroz. Like I feel like Moroz has been in there with better competition. Like she's fought Esparza, Hill,
she does have
Letourneau,
a
like
win over that one girl. What's her name again? The new girl?
Mazo?
Sabina
Mazo.
Mazo.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
has a win over her, and that girl looked pretty good in her last fight. So.
Yeah. But is it just me, or is like Moroz way smaller than this other girl, than Silva?
Like
It's hard.
height wise?
No, it just like her build. Like Moroz looks like very skinny, and
Uh,
Silva's like pretty heavy set.
Yeah,
Like,
they are two different body types for sure.
Yeah, so that could be a factor.
Yeah. Think she might get
Like-
muscled around?
Yeah, Silva could just bully her like regardless of technique. You
Yeah.
know, it's just low level fights, right? So I do feel like Moroz is going to win, but I definitely don't want to bet her as a favorite.
Yeah.
No, Moroz is actually the underdog. She's plus 125.
Oh, she's the dog. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, then I don't really want to bet her still. But that's a lot more appetizing.
Yeah. What I
Yeah,
like
I'm
about
not
this
a-
fight, sorry,
I'm not gonna do
what I like about this fight is that the UFC put the three shittiest fights at the very at the very beginning of the card. So it's like Veronica Macedo Malecki, De Silva versus Dvorak, and then Moroz versus Silva. After that, the rest of the fight card is dope. So I'm glad they
Yeah.
actually did the right thing this time.
Yeah, just tune in at the Yaya fight.
Yeah, basically.
All right, well, speaking of Yaya, let's move on to that fight. We have Enrique Barzola versus Rani Yaya, or Hani Yaya, as they say in Brazil.
Yeah.
That's a terrible name. Enrique Barzola is negative 185, and the comeback on Yaya is plus 160. Enrique is, aren't they both at American Top Team?
Uh,
No?
did what's his face move? I think what's his face the Peruvian guy. Sorry, not Yaya, but the
Barzola?
other Barzola. I think he moved recently to a different camp. I can't remember the name
Okay.
of it off the top of my head.
Hmm. Yeah, because I remember the both of them being at American Top Team, so it's kind of weird.
He moved to AKA.
AKA.
Barzola
Oh, wow.
did.
That's,
Yeah.
why did it happen like that?
I don't know.
Anyways, that's what we say in the hood.
Huh.
When you join the Crips and join the Bloods. What's going on here, baby?
Hmm.
Anyways, so we know Rani Yaya, veteran in the game. This guy's been in, he was snatching necks back in the WC. He is getting up there in age, though. We know what he brings to the table. This guy's he'll either choke you to death or he's going to gas doing it. So his stand up, I think it's as good as he's gonna get. He's kind of wild. He's pretty much his stand up's just there to get you to kind of put your hands up, block your face, so that way he can snatch like a single leg or whatnot. And but this guy's jiu-jitsu is no fucking joke, and I could really see him finishing Barzola in the first round as he's capable of finishing anybody in that first round. However, I don't see him doing this. I think he's going to get Barzola in some really sticky situations for the first half of the fight, and then gas out, and Barzola takes over and ends up winning a close and contested decision. But I got Barzola by decision here. Barzola, we already know he's a pretty decent wrestler, and he held himself pretty well against that Russian dude, Movsar Evlov. So I expect him to hold off some of Yaya's decisions. Takedowns here, but I wouldn't cut Ronda Yaya out pretty early. So yeah. What are your thoughts?
For me, I agree with the close decision. I think it's going to go to a split decision, but I think Yaya is going to win it. He does have the home field advantage here, so there's that. So if it's going to be a close fight in the end, I'm always going to lean with the Brazilian in Brazil, especially when they're a well-seasoned, well-known name like Ronnie Yaya and a couple of other people on the card. So what I like about Yaya is that in this fight he's not going to get subbed. He won't get knocked out. At the main thing you have to worry about is him getting kind of just not laid on, but like taken down repeatedly. So I think that's me saying that Yaya only has to worry about the takedown from like the multiple takedowns of.
I don't think Barzola is gonna try to get this guy down. It was possible. Actually, it's possible. Yeah.
But basically, every once in a while, not all the time, but once in a while, you'll see Yaya come out with a striking game plan, and because he has a black belt in Muay Thai, and he doesn't really show it too much. He's usually just doing whatever he can to just trying to get that takedown. But every once in a while, he'll show his striking, which is it's mostly his kicks kind of shine. His hands are shit, but his kicks shine, and I think he'll be able to do enough on the feet, like kicking wise, to score points that way. And then as Barzola comes in and tries to do if he tries to go for a takedown or get close enough, I think Ronnie Yaya is going to be able to either grab a neck or kind of stuff a takedown or kind of reverse it if it goes to the ground. If Barzola decides to shoot, or I just don't think that Barzola's hands are anything special. He'll throw a decent amount of punches, but he's not technical with his hands. So I think since it's going to be a close fight with Barzola having the higher work rate, but it will be close. I think it's going to go to Yaya in Brazil, especially if Barzola does go for the takedowns. He's not good from the top. He always lets his opponents up. That's why he's known for having a lot of takedowns, because he can't, he's not heavy on top. So, but yeah, I think close fight with Yaya with Yaya winning the decision in Brazil.
What's the price on the over on this fight?
Over are not out yet, but I'm going to guess it's going to be like probably negative 200.
Yeah, I'd rather bet that than either guy. I think it's really hard to say. I totally agree with your guys' breakdowns. Like, I just think it's going to be a close fight. It's going to be one of those fights where we're just like not sure which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
I don't think Yaya is going to sub. Like, I think he's going to try, but like Barzola's pretty strong. Like, I think just his physical strength. I think even if there's a lot of grappling, I don't think Yaya is going to get the sub.
No.
Yeah, and I don't see Barzola like actively looking for takedowns here either. I think he's going to try to keep it standing, like how Ronnie Yaya's last opponent, Ricky Simone did, where he just kind of kept it standing and just outstruck him. And Barzola has a decent striking game. But I don't see Barzola trying to get this fight to the ground, just because one, he can't hold people down, first of all, especially Jiu-Jitsu champion. Second, that's pretty much, if he takes Ronnie Yaya down, Yaya's gonna thank him. So Yaya has a really, really good half guard sweep where if you're in his guard, he's gonna half guard sweep you and take the back, So that's something that's gonna be advised for Barzola. So it's gonna be a completely different game plan for Barzola. So that's what I'm expecting, and I definitely think Yaya could definitely get to get the victory here. So my pick is Barzola, but I wouldn't bet on it. Fuck, I mean, if you were to give me some money and to bet on a guy, I'd bet on Yaya at plus 160. So unless this fight is at even odds, I don't know. But at 160, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with taking that money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, at plus 160, I'll take Yaya all day.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And his decision line is plus 350? Yeah.
That's a really nice line. So
that's a pretty good line. Yeah, I like
no,
that
that's
price.
a really good line. So I'm actually staring at it right now. So if I'm feeling kind of lucky, I might fuck around and just throw something on that. So I'm staring at it. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the only way it could go. It's just either Enrique just kind of picks him away standing, and he ends up winning a decision, or Ryan Yaya is going to get him down, choke him out pretty early in the fight, or he might just take 2 out of 3 rounds and gas in that third, and then he ends up winning a close decision. So that's how I kind of see it. So.
Yeah. If you remember the Yaya versus Matthew Lopez fight, I think this fight's gonna look like that a little bit.
It could. It definitely could. Yeah. And you know what's really remarkable about Ryan Yaya? This guy's, he's one of the guys that's really, really good at north-south position. Like this guy is choking people out with his lats. Really rare thing to see, especially for somebody as small as him. Like you don't see the smaller guys being really good at those type of chokes. But this guy is very unique in that aspect. All right, moving on. We have a banger. We have how do you say his name? Alexei Konchenko versus Elizeu dos Santos. Zaleski. I'm just gonna call him Zaleski. Zaleski dos Santos. And we have Zaleski at -130, and Konchenko is plus 110. Lemon Zest, what you got?
Yeah, Konchenko is like a weird fighter to me. Like I don't really understand. Like, okay, so he's 20-1. His first loss was to Burns. I don't know. When I watch his fights, I'm just not impressed. Like there's no one thing he does where I'm like, holy crap, you're really good. I think that, and of all things, Burns' stand-up is what really put the hurt on it. So I think Burns' just strikes were so hard, like his leg kicks and his stuff were so hard that just damaged Konchenko, and he was out of the fight from there on. So yeah, I'm not sure what to think about him. I think overall this is like a close fight. Zaleski has fought, I feel like, the better guys. I mean, but Konchenko at the same time, he decisioned Yushin Okami, so that's pretty legit. But yeah, I don't have a clear pick on this, but I kind of favor Zaleski just because I think he's a more experienced fighter. He's fought better guys, and I just feel like he's in general more dangerous. I don't see any single thing in Konchenko's game that's super dangerous.
Who's your pick?
Oh, Zaleski.
Or Skip. Okay, yeah.
I favor Zaleski, but I'm not it's not a bet for me, but I would favor.
Got it.
I mean, as for me, it's a little bit what Lemon said about Konchenko. So he's kind of like, he's underwhelming and then aside from that, he'll be the smaller fighter. Wikipedia has him at 5'8". So I have to check because I knew he's smaller, but wasn't sure how small. So he's 5'8", and Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos is 5'11". So there's that. So I'm thinking that at some point we're gonna see Zaleski get the takedown, or at least shoot for takedowns. I was thinking it might end up a little bit like Zaleski versus what's his face, Randy Brown. But I think that Randy Brown is just kind of too easy to take down, so I'm not sure if it'll go exactly like that. But I think that on the feet, Zaleski has the better kicks. He'll be able to keep the distance and pick his shots. And with it being in Brazil, he'll have that in his back pocket as well. So he'll have the home field advantage. I was looking at Zaleski's submission line. Let me see here, because if it does go to the ground, it's going to be I think he could finish him pretty easy. It's
Gilbert Burns couldn't finish him. I don't know if Zaleski will, to be honest. So, but the line you're looking for is
was it 1,060?
Plus 1,000. Yeah, plus 1,000. So
yeah. So
I could see a club and sub. You know, why not? Club and sub might be. But yeah, if Burns can't do it. I don't know, man.
Did Burns get the takedown in that fight? It was
Yeah,
only
he
a,
did.
it was only a,
He
how many
did.
times?
He
One?
did get it. I think two. I don't remember. Maybe like two out of the three rounds.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I mean I feel comfortable in this spot with going with Zaleski. Just the bigger so the bigger, stronger, taller fighter. He's more well-rounded with the strikes, in my opinion. What's his face? Konchenko does have the better pure boxing, from what I remember. But I like the hometown fighter here in Zaleski, especially at what is it near even? Is it
Yeah.
plus
Negative 130 to
or
plus 110. Yeah.
negative
It's
130?
pretty
Yeah.
close to even. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't go big on it just because he's still coming off that knockout loss, right? Against
Yeah, against the
Jing
Leech.
Liang. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I usually don't like to go big on fighters because I like Zaleski a lot, but when they're
Yeah,
coming
he
off
fights for your
knockout
money. He
loss,
definitely fights for your money. He's one of
yeah,
those guys that if you bet on him, you know for a fact that he's gonna fight for your money. Even if he's down 2 rounds, like and the reason why he got finished against Leech was because he was down 2 rounds and he had to make something happen. So he's one of those guys that's again you like to bet on him because he fights for your fucking money and even
yeah,
if he lost, even if he loses, like you don't feel bad about it because the motherfucker came out and went for the win.
yeah. So I mean, I would have a bet on my pick, and my bet is going to be on Zaleski, and then I would have a little bit on his sub line at plus 1,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, for me, this fight is going to be a really, really close fight. I wouldn't recommend picking. I don't feel confident picking either side. Kanchenko has a pretty good record. I mean, it's really kind of tough to bet against. Zaleski, again, like I mentioned, he's a guy that fights for your money. Like if he's down 2 rounds, he's going to come for the kill, and he's done that in multiple fights. Where he's getting taken down by that one Japanese dude. I forget his name. What is his name again? Anyways, he got taken down, and in the last 30 seconds, he gets up and just starts flurrying and ends up winning the fight because the last 30 seconds he comes out swinging. So, I see a split incoming. However, I'm not gonna bet on. I wouldn't put too much on the. I'm gonna go with the over, but I'm not gonna put too much on it just because like I mean it's possible that they finish each other as well just because both of them swing pretty hard. So yeah, my pick is the over, but I'm not too confident in it. So yeah, and I think it's gonna be a split decision either way. So yep. All right, moving on. It's a good fight though. A really good fight on
Yeah.
paper. We have Amanda Ribas or Amanda Hebus versus Randa or Randa Marcos. I'm
Handa.
confused here. Wait a minute. It's Amanda Hebus and Handa Marcos if we're talking Brazilian here. So I mean we're talking Portuguese here. So anyways, Randa Marcos is the underdog and Amanda Hebus is a huge favorite. She is negative 340 and the comeback on Marcos is plus 280. I mean I wouldn't ever bet on a women fight this wide, but
Yeah.
I do think Ribas is gonna win because she looked pretty good in her recent fight. She looked like she's kind of well put together. I mean, she has some pretty decent. I mean, she has some good striking. Her clinch game looked really good, and she looked pretty strong in there. Her takedown looked pretty good. Her back take looked good. She looks like a pretty decent fighter. I think she'll probably be a player in the game in her weight class at 115. So definitely see her hanging with the likes of. I mean, I'm sure she'll join the ranks of your Rose Namajunas, so
Yeah.
yeah, I like her, and we all know who Marcos is, so yeah, go ahead, somebody.
Yeah. So I mean, I like this fight in the sense that the UFC is clearly, in my opinion, that they're clearly siding with Ribas here, or Ribas. I'll just call her
She's pretty
Amanda.
cute too.
Yeah, so she's cute. She's 26. She's 8-1. So she's from Brazil. So she's got that foreign factor. She got the young factor. She got the cute factor. She's finished most of her fights so far. But so I like how they're building her up. So she entered the UFC, and At first I didn't know what to think of her because she didn't fight since May 2016, and then when she made her UFC debut, it was at June 2019, so it was like a full 3 years later. Um, so when she fought Emily Whitmire, I was like, I guess I'll pick Whitmire because I don't know this other chick. But I mean, it was after I saw that fight, I was like, all right, we have a little something here. And then when she easily beat Mackenzie Dern in her second fight, I was like, all right, okay. So it seemed like because Emily Whitmire is a grappler, like kind of wrestle and jiu-jitsu a little bit, and then you have Mackenzie Dern, who's just a pure jiu-jitsu fighter with shitty takedowns and shitty striking, but she has a little bit of power if you don't have if her opponents don't have good head movement, she could do her thing a little bit, but she's mostly a jiu-jitsu fighter, and now she's fighting mostly a she's kind of like a wrestle boxer, Rana Marcos. So she's mostly wrestling, but she has decent hands for a chick. So they're slowly building Amanda Ribas up with like various types of grapplers, and now this grappler, a wrestler rather, she's she's obviously the best fighter that Ribas has fought thus far, but it's not too much of a jump where I feel that Ribas will lose this fight. I think it's going to go to a decision. I think it's going to be like a clear unanimous decision. Probably 29-28, like in that, but those 2 rounds that she'll win will be clear. I think that first round might be Randa's best round, where you're not sure who won it, or maybe Randa might get a takedown but not do a whole lot with it, but just do enough to win the round. But after that, I think Ribas will do her thing and just notch up her 9th win. And do you know what the line is on that overall, like the money line?
Yeah, it's negative 340 and plus 280 on Randa.
Oh, that's shitty. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll pass. I mean, I'm looking at her decision line still minus 130, so I don't want that either. I mean, the pick is Amanda Ribas for me, but I mean, no money line bet and no decision bet for me.
All right, I'm gonna deviate from you guys. I think Ribas is like not good. You said she Johnny, you said she's like similar to Rose or in the same caliber. I don't agree with that at all.
No,
Rose,
no. I think she's gonna like face one of those type of girls soon. I don't think she's as good as Rose Namajunas, but no,
okay.
she's pretty good. I think she's pretty good. So yeah, I'm not comparing her. I just think that she might like fight one of those girls in that rink soon.
Yeah.
Because UFC is promoting her.
Guys, if you think that the UFC is building her up, that's one thing. But like she was KO'd by Polyana Viana. Like,
that's a bad look. That is a very bad look.
Amanda Ribas is not good. Randa Marcos, I really like her new iteration of what she does. She kind of like puts her hand out and then goes up and down, like bends her knees, and she kind of like, I'm not saying it's fun to watch, but she's good at like shutting down the fight. She just makes fights really close. She's like the classic fighter. Put it this way, when we watch this fight, Ribas will not look like a minus 300 favorite. It's going to be the classic girl fight where it's very close. Randa Marcos will make it close. So I will be betting Randa Marcos, and it's one of my favorite bets in the card.
Nice.
I hope you win, man. I fucking hope you win because I don't care too much about girl fights.
No,
so my opinions are always taken with a grain of salt. So yeah.
If Randa Marcos doesn't get taken down, like let's say she can resist the takedowns or just turn the takedowns into grappling, this fight is a pick'em. So I'm loving Randa Marcos in this spot.
All right.
Cool.
Before we
here's
move,
the thing that go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, before we move on, my question for Lemons would be since you like Marcos, are you gonna take her plus 405 decision line, or are you gonna take her plus 280 money line?
Oh, probably. I mean, I'll probably bet her money line, but maybe sprinkle some on the decision line. I don't really think she's going to finish her. Like,
okay.
It would be really surprising if she finished her. But I'm expecting like a kind of grindy, typical girl fight where you go to decision and you're like, shit, I hope my girl gets it. Like I'm not expecting her to like dominate. I'm just going to be good enough to make it close.
All right.
Well, the last thing I was going to add was that'll just flip your whole theory upside down is Randa Marcos is known for alternating wins and losses. So she has win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And she's coming off a win, so that means she is going to lose her next fight.
Dude, you're not even joking. Like, when you scroll her record, it's like a Christmas tree, dude. That's crazy.
It is a fucking
so
Christmas
true.
tree.
Yeah, and like
Yeah, it's
She's
fucking
due
clockwork,
for
man. She's due for a loss. It's fucking. She's gonna lose just like clockwork, and she'll win her. She'll win her next fight. Doesn't matter who it is. If they match her up with Rose Namajunas in her next fight, or fucking whoever, she's gonna win that fight.
Yeah, that's
think-
legit.
Some fucking way.
Actually.
looking at
Yeah.
Marcos's record, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's that fight against Godella where I thought she won it. I'm not sure if that was that fight against Godella or if I'm mixing that fight with Godella up
It
against.
might be Marina Rodriguez.
There was a fight that she lost in one of her.
Because it's
I don't
all
know.
Brazilian. Yeah, it was Marina Rodriguez. I thought it was a pretty close one too.
Did
so.
she get raped against Godella or was that a close fight?
She got raped.
Okay, something.
Oh, that's a terrible thing to say. Jesus Christ, that didn't
Sorry,
sound, that
my
didn't come out
bad.
right.
My bad.
That did not come out right. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
She subbed Angela Hill like in 2019.
Yeah.
So like she's decent. I know her record looks horrible, but like I feel like Miranda's pretty decent for a girl fight.
Yeah. And she's continuing to improve and she's willing to improve and she's moving around to get better. So she's not stagnant with her skill set. She's always trying to get better. So she's learning as she goes essentially. Even though she's already 34, she's still willing to learn and get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. So what the fuck is this fight doing on the fucking prelims, man? GCA Formiga versus Brandon Moreno. What the fuck, man? Like this is terrible. Formiga is negative 155. The comeback of Moreno is plus 135 right now. This is a good fight. Like this is a really good fight. It's a premier fight. Like this is almost like a contenders match, for flyweight. And the UFC just continues to bury these guys on the freaking prelims. So, that's terrible, man. Formiga does have a win over Davison Figueiredo, who just you saw what he did the other weekend. So, and then Brandon Moreno is coming back to the UFC. Looks like Brandon Moreno 2.0. He came back and he's looking a lot sharper on the feet. He's looking a lot better. And I really don't know who's gonna win this fight, because when I first heard this fight, when I was thinking like, oh shit, I'm gonna bet on Moreno because he's an underdog. He was like plus 170 or some shit. That line's actually continued to shrink, so a lot of people are actually starting to put money on him. But the more I think about it, like damn, Formiga could definitely win this too, because Formiga is good at what he does. He's really patient. He's looking for that clinch. He's looking for that takedown, and he's looking to take your back. And Moreno is not exactly like a surgeon out there. He's more of a guy who's gonna push the pace and throw hard and put the pace on you. And he leaves a lot of room for mistakes. And if you make one mistake against Formiga, he can backpack you like a motherfucker, and there goes the end of that round. So, I'm gonna go ahead and put some money. I actually already did to put some little bit of money on Moreno at that 170 line. I can actually hedge it out. I'm not hedge it out. What's the word? I can arb it out and get a free play here. But this is gonna be a really close fight because I'm gonna say a little bit about Moreno too. I really like what Moreno's been doing. He's got really great attacks from the left side. He's got that. He's always throwing a left hook. Every time he clinches up and when he breaks from the clinch, always throws a left hook. He attacks off the clinch. He has that great. He has a really good lead left head kick. So again, he throws a lot of things from the left side, from his lead side, and he's very dangerous. This guy's he's always punching off the break. He's always looking for pushing the pace. And if it's if Formiga starts to show his age or whatnot, I could see for Moreno just out hustling him and doing more damage possibly and getting a split decision here. But it's a really close fight either way. So I'd like to see this fight kind of move towards negative 110 apiece. And once it does that, I really don't know who's going to win. But my money's on Moreno at the plus 170. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, just like the word you said, mistakes, and he kind of leaves himself open. Brandon Moreno.
Mhm.
That's the reason why, the sole reason why I'm going with Jussier Formiga. I still think Formiga, even though he's been in the game for a long time, I still think he's in his prime. Or I don't know about prime, but like he's still really good. So the loss to Joseph Benavidez doesn't sway me off of picking him at home at all. So I'm not sure if Formiga's going to get the finish in this fight. Um, I know that I think it's plus five something or plus four something. I forgot what it was. It keeps dropping, but his submission line. But I am gonna wait until the line gets better if I do end up betting it. But I just think that once so Brandon Moreno has a better striking, like overall striking. And he's faster and he has like the in and out movement thing going. But I think that Formiga's kicks will be enough to handle the striking handle the striking from the outside. And then once Moreno messes up, Formiga's gonna get a leg, gonna grab that leg. He's gonna fucking like hump it to death, and then he's gonna work his way in. If he can't get the takedown, he's gonna work his way in, just kind of like getting closer and closer and closer, and eventually get a clinch, maybe and get the back, maybe and drag Moreno down for a takedown. He's gonna find a way. He always finds a way. I mean, as for Moreno, he has been getting better, but just this type of matchup, it's it's a tricky one because he looked in his split draw against Askarov. Moreno did look improved, but then and then we also saw improvement against Kai Kara France, which was nice to see. But in this specific matchup, I just think that someone who has a skill set that Formiga has is just it's not going to be good. I think Formiga is going to get back on the track here in his home country and kind of make another run. I think he has like one more run in him, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh,
Yeah,
decision. Formiga decision.
and if you go back, like look at Formiga's record, he's really only taken L's to like really good wrestlers. So he lost to Cejudo, he lost to Ray Borg, and then most recently he got KO'd by Benavidez. But if you take out that Benavidez KO, he's only lost to Borg and Cejudo.
Yeah.
Well, and then Benavidez before that, but like, and John Dodson. But those, I'm just talking the last few years. So I'm kind of agreeing with you here, Puerto Rican. Like I feel like Brandon Moreno definitely a step up for him. But at the same time, I feel like Moreno has the biggest heart in MMA right now. Like he wants
He's
to
a
win.
dog, yeah. He fights like a dog.
He gives it all. Like he really wants to win. You can just tell. Like, and he finds ways to win. I feel like I've lost so much money betting against Moreno. Like he really surprises me because he finds ways to win a lot of times, even when like this is the classic matchup where he is the less skilled guy, but he'll just want it more maybe and then find a way to win. So
Yeah, that's kind of been that's been his MO. Like even on the tough Ultimate Fighter, he was giving Pantoja a run for the money in that fight too.
yeah, like he's so game that I'm literally
That's
scared.
that's the best way to describe him. He's a game.
Yeah, so maybe the over. I don't know what to bet on this fight. I'm really, yeah, it's going to be a good
Over
fight
is a
to
little
watch.
too expensive, but yeah,
Yeah, probably
should
too
be a good
pricey.
fight though.
Yeah, I might just pass on this one.
All right, so but good fight though. It should definitely be higher up on the card. So all right, so let's move on to the main card of the ESPN Plus. Here we have Francisco Trinaldo versus John Makdessi. Trinaldo is the favorite at negative 160 to come back on Makdessi as plus 140. Lemon, that's what you got.
Yeah, like if Trinaldo was a few years younger, this would be like a slam dunk for him. But he's getting up there, 41. But I feel like he was old quite a while ago already. But even
Yeah.
so, like he's super fast.
What the
He like
hell's in
kind
the
of
water, man?
yeah, he kind of has that Romero thing going where you're just like, how is this guy 41? He looks insane, super ripped, super fast. I just think it's probably going to be a stand-up affair, and Trinaldo's going to be faster. He's going to have the better reach. I kind of think he's going to piece up McDessie. McDessie's kind of like really short guy, short reach,
Yeah,
but really
he
technical.
should have
But
been
I
a
think
145er.
Yeah, I think if it gets later in the fight, then McDessie could pick it up and start putting the hurt on Trinaldo. But like the first 2 rounds, I think Trinaldo's gonna have his way here. So my pick would be Trinaldo decision.
Yeah, I went to go double check their heights, like their height, especially for McDessie, because I know he's undersized for the division, but it says he's 5'8". I don't agree with that. I thought he's like 5'6" or something like that. Um, so McDessie says he's 5'8" with a 68 reach, and then Trinaldo's 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. I think so. I've been thinking about this one a lot. So I think that so Francisco has the better power. He has probably the better hands too as well. Then you have McDessie he's kind of like he has his kicks are his best thing, but he also has decent hands. So I think we're gonna end up seeing a decision unless if Trinaldo doesn't land one of his big punches, he'll go for it. But if he doesn't land it, then it's gonna go to decision. And I think that McDessie's gonna land enough to where if he was like in America or even Canada, somewhere outside of Brazil, that he would get the decision. But I think that it being in Brazil, that Trinaldo is going to end up getting the decision, the nod. He's
Man, they really love him
he,
out there.
he's very very popular. Yeah, popular over there. I mean, I don't want to say it's a straightforward fight, but it's going to take place on the feet. I don't think either of them could take each other down. They're both of the gas tanks are around, they're decent, and they're gonna be able to go to the third round. So basically, if Trinaldo doesn't land his big overhand, I think it's just gonna go to decision, with it being kind of close, striking number wise, and I think Trinaldo will get the decision win over a McDessie who might land more and probably deserve the win, but he's fighting in enemy territory. So
Yeah, both these guys
that's a
are
very
in a lot of close decisions.
That's a very specific prediction. That's good. I dig it.
Yeah, I think both of these guys would get into some pretty close decisions. So I definitely agree with that. The fight should probably go over.
yeah,
Now Francisco is, yeah, they love him out there in Brazil. So I expect them to get the hometown nod here if it does end up being a close fight. So he's definitely favored. But yeah, man, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, when is this guy gonna fall off a cliff? He's 41 years old. Like, it's really hard to trust anybody. Well, yeah, somebody that old with your money. Like just like Yoel, didn't really throw anything. He kind of conserved his energy. So who knows when Francisco Trinaldo will have a Yoel moment, where he just kind of freezes up and doesn't throw. But his last fight, didn't look like he was slowing down or anything. So I expect him to get a decision here. McDessie though, like I just want to kind of just notate on him. Like he's actually one of the most technical strikers. It's like in the UFC, like period. Like skill wise, like I really like what I see from him. Like I think he's got one of the cleanest left hooks in the game. He doesn't throw a ton of power with it, but man, he's like you guys ever stuck your hand out at a cat and the cat just starts throwing a lot of little swipes? This guy's got a cat swipe. He's really fast with it, and it's something that you definitely want to teach people in the gym. And I can only wish to throw a left hook like his, but he's got good leg kicks.
the low
He
ones.
doesn't throw with a ton of power, but he taps you, he touches you, and and he's really good at that. And unfortunately, he's kind of been a smaller guy in the division. He doesn't throw with a ton of power. Sometimes the point style doesn't like translate into MMA just because it doesn't seem like he's doing much, but he really is. So I admire his style, but yeah, I'm gonna ride with Francisco Trinaldo in Brazil. But wouldn't be surprised if McDessie does pull out a decision here and freezes up a 41-year-old Trinaldo, with counters.
Yeah.
I do totally agree with what you said though. Like as a martial artist, like as a fan of martial arts, like I always like watching McDessie fight because there's some ugly fights, like those low-level WMMA fights where it's just so not technical. Where McDessie's gonna go in there and he's gonna look good, like he's doing things properly, even if he doesn't edge out the fight or the decision.
Yeah. To me, he's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's fun to watch just because I'm really looking at the way he throws stuff, so I can kind of emulate it myself. So.
Yeah, those low kicks are what I was the low kicks that you mentioned were
Hmm.
the same ones where what I was thinking he like how he's gonna accumulate more points than or sorry, not points, more strikes landed than Trinaldo, but not it won't be enough in the end due to the hometown thing. Because I like how he just taps you and he moves out of the way a little bit, kind of not runs, but he like moves back. So it's just like I don't know if that's going to be I don't know if it's going to translate in Brazil to where they're going to really count those little baby low kicks because he throws a lot of them, those little low kicks, not exactly like calf kicks, but just like taps, like you mentioned.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Should be a good fight though.
yeah, should be good.
Cool. All right, so we have a marquee fight here. I say marquee just because Johnny Walker is a pretty funny, weird guy, very controversial dude, just strange dude overall, and a lot of people like him. I think he's pretty fun to watch too. He's negative 135, and he's fighting Nikita Krylov, who is an all-action fighter as well at plus 115. This is going to be a fun fight to watch because both of them are known for knocking people out or submitting them in the early stages of the fight, and I expect no different from here. I don't know what the over under is going to be at, but I'm willing to take the under if it's at a decent price. But yeah, this fight's going to be very interesting. Krylov is one of those dudes who just goes out and he just pours it on you. He throws everything. He just fucking throws everything, but and the kitchen sink at you. And if he doesn't finish you, he just pretty much implodes, and he'll leave his neck for you to take. And Johnny Walker is one of those weird. I don't know how to fucking describe this guy's style. He's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah,
He's super duper athletic. He can land knees. He can land all these weirdo elbows. Like he super duper unpredictable and very strange that he got invited out to TriStar. I don't know what Firas Zahabi saw in him,
hmm
but he does not look like a TriStar fighter
no,
just because of how weird he is. So like, I mean, if fucking Johnny Walker comes out and starts jabbing, I'm gonna be fucking surprised. But yeah, like yeah. So I mean, everybody at home knows what's gonna happen here. These guys are gonna do something crazy, and it's gonna be fun to watch. So yeah.
no. So we have Walker Johnny da Silva para de Souza,
That's his
so
real name.
aka Johnny Walker.
That's his fucking
He
real
has,
name. Wow.
yeah, he has what, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven names for his whole title. Anyway, so
And
Johnny Walker.
before you start to, I'm gonna go with Johnny Walker here. It's gonna be a super small bet for me. I'm not gonna bet a lot on it just because of how unpredictable both these guys are. But I'm just gonna bet on them just for shits and giggles, and let's see what TriStar can do to him. So yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And then he is the hometown fighter, I guess. He hasn't technically, even though he reps like a bunch of other countries. So so prior to leaving, so last weekend I was in Vegas. Didn't go so well. Even so, I'm not going to get into that since we're on this show now. But before I left to come home, I bet on a few fights, three fights to be specific. One of them was this fight here. Krylov. So I took Krylov for plus 125 money line. So my oh yeah, before I go into why I picked him, Johnny Walker is 6'5" with an 82-inch reach. We have Nikita Krylov at 6'3" with a 77.5-inch reach. What I like about Krylov is that he's very skilled in multiple areas of martial arts. He's a good outside fighter, not great in mid range, but like he's good on the outside, and when he gets up close, he's gonna do whatever he can to get you down, and he's dangerous. He's really dangerous once he gets on top of you. I think that so what we saw with Johnny Walker last time was that he couldn't handle the movement. He couldn't handle the movement from what's his face, the wrestler, Corey Anderson. So Corey Anderson kept moving and just kind of like feinting and moving, and Walker wasn't able to set anything big up, so he's getting frustrated. And I don't think Krylov's gonna do the same. I don't think he even can do the same game plan that Anderson did. But I think that his ability to he's not stationary, so he's gonna move, but not as well as Anderson. But he's gonna move enough to kind of just like get Walker to react. And he's also the way better kicker, so he's going to be able to kick from the outside. He has long legs, and if he does, when Walker does decide to explode, I could see a counter takedown from Krylov, and then once he gets on top, it's going to be a wrap, in my opinion. I do think that Krylov will be able to do well if it goes past the first round and even the second round. But I don't think it's going to go past 1.5. But if it does go deep, I kind of side with Krylov, especially now that he's at a lower weight class instead of when he first came in the UFC. He was at a higher weight class. He was kind of gassing and all that stuff. But ever since he moved down, he's been showing improvements, and I just think that at plus 125, Krylov is skilled enough, and I don't know. I just think it's a good spot for the underdog. The only thing I could see Johnny Walker, the only reason I would give Johnny Walker a slight favorite, I mean, it's a slight lean rather, is because he is the hometown guy. But I also think that him going to TriStar, like you mentioned, is going to kind of take away from his overall game. It's gonna make him look less of like Johnny Walker and more of, I don't know, someone else. He's not gonna, like, that first fight with a new camp, especially one like TriStar, is gonna like throw him off a little bit. If he stays with TriStar, maybe the next fight he'll look, improved. But this first fight, I don't think he's gonna look as good as he usually does, and people are gonna be like, "What the fuck? Why is he? He just fell off," and all this stuff like that. So I'm going with Krylov plus 125.
Yeah,
what about you, Lemon?
I'm mad at that.
Yeah. Well, I love, like, for Johnny Walker, like, for his sake, I'm really glad he went to TriStar, because that's exactly what he needs. Like, he's got the athleticism and the explosiveness, so like he just doesn't seem very technical. But like from a betting point of view, I hate it, because what you just said is like, I don't know what this guy's going to do now, right? Like up to now, we knew exactly what he was going to do. Now, like, what if he just comes out and he starts kind of like light sparring with the guy? Like it's very hard to predict now. So if I knew what I was getting with Walker, I would be fine to just bet him first round and then like see what happens. Like that's what I still might do, is just bet Walker round 1 if it's a good price. But I totally agree too. If it gets into the second round, if Walker doesn't finish him in the first round, I feel like Krylov is way more of an actual martial artist, like more of a real MMA fighter. Like he'll grind it out. Whereas I don't think Walker like knows how to grind a fight out. Like that's just not what he does. So it's a tough bet. I like Walker's movement overall. Like I think he'll make Krylov look kind of stationary. Like he'll move much better. But yeah, it's tough. I want to bet Walker. I might live bet Krylov like after round 1, but my pre-bet will probably be Walker.
Past the first round.
yeah. Like if it makes it past the first round, I'll want to live bet Krylov.
Yeah, between these two guys, they have 54 combined total fights and 52 finishes between both guys.
Jeez.
Not 52 finishes like wins, but they've even get most of their losses did get finished as well. So yeah,
they're both young too. 28, and the other one's 26 or 7 or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Krylov snatching like a rear naked choke too. This guy I wouldn't sleep on his submission skills. He did choke out OSP. That's a pretty good win.
Yeah.
So and then and I guess he's wow. You know how I said 50 something fights and all finishes. Man, I did not expect Krylov and Glover to go to decision. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Same here.
That really surprised me. I think that line might have been like plus 1,000 on either side or some shit, But who the fuck in the right mind would have bet that and felt confident in it? That's like one of my things I always say is a heart attack special,
Yeah. But the thing about Walker is like the guys that he's beat, like he beat Serkinov, Ledet, and Roundtree. I think
Serkinov,
those are legit. Like Serkinov and Roundtree are both better than Krylov, and I think so. Like the guy is kind of legit. Like he's finishing good guys. That's the creep. That's like the crazy thing about him. So yeah, I'm riding with him. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's very unique in his skill that like he's super duper tall and he uses a tight clinch a lot. You know, like when he knocked out Khalil Roundtree, he hit him with that elbow. You know, that from that tight clinch, and he's just so tall he can just land that shit on people. So, and then he's also his tallness also brings in those flying knees as well. So, yeah, 205 man, you 205 anybody can beat each other. So yeah, that's what you're gonna get. But it's gonna be a fun fight in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we're moving on. We have Hanato Moicano moving up to 155 against Damir Hadzovic. Moicano is negative 340, and the comeback on Damir is plus 280. Lemons ass, go ahead.
Man, this is a hard one to predict. Like I feel like, obviously, like Renato Pinheiro is the more like higher level fighter, so it's a pretty big step up for Hadzovic. But I don't know. I feel like Hadzovic could come in there and be game, you know. So I don't really have a prediction on this fight. I think it's going to go to decision. I think it's going to be close, and I think Pinheiro is going to edge it out. But I really don't know.
Did when you were what's it called, Johnny? When you were introducing this fight, did you mention that Moicano's going up in weight?
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah.
Okay.
All
right. Because I missed it. All right. So yeah, for me it's the same thing as Lemon says. So we have Moicano, then you have Hadzovic. They are both 5'11". Moicano does have the 2-inch reach advantage, and he's a hometown fighter here. I like Moicano's overall, like I don't know, when I think about Hadzovic, I think he's like a similar like striking skill set, but I think just Moicano is just a little bit better. I think it's going to be a close fight, and we'll see I don't think it's going to be a split. I think at 29-28 Moicano, and yeah, this fight I just feel comfortable with Moicano. I'm definitely not going to touch his minus 340 line. What is his decision line? It is plus 125. I don't really like that either. If I had to bet it, I'd bet Moicano plus 125. I don't think he'll get a finish over someone that's tough like Hadzovic. I'm not even sure if Moicano's power is going to translate. He's not even a super big puncher anyway, but I don't think his whatever power he has, I don't think it's going to translate, and I don't think he'll get the takedown either. So yeah, I think if I had to bet, I would just go with plus 125 Moicano, but right now it's a no bet just because the decision line's not high enough for me.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what he's going to look like at 155. He wasn't exactly like a really like buff guy at 145. He wasn't that big of a dude, but he's kind of tall and lanky. So who knows? Maybe it'll help his cardio or something. But I'm gonna go with Moicano here. I think he's gonna win by decision as well. Moicano is a really good kicker. He's he chopped down Calvin Kattar's legs down, which I was on Kattar that fight. That was a really big disappointing fight for me when Kattar just kind of took it. So I expect Moicano to just circle. Leg kick, circle, throw jabs out. He's got some good jabs. His right hand isn't that good. It's kind of slow in the pocket. That's the reason why it was so easy to counter him when Korean Zombie just ducked under his jab and threw that overhand right. Just because he knew that Moicano doesn't have a right hand, and he knew he wasn't going to like come with a 1-2. It's very rare that Moicano follows up his jab with a right hand. He just kind of jabs and runs. But yeah, he's one of those guys who's just gonna kind of pick at you, and he's really looking to land his low kicks, which he's really good at, and that's pretty much all he does. He's gonna, circle, and throw his kicks, and sometimes he'll get your back. He's not a great wrestler, but he's definitely capable of taking your back and backpacking you as well. So yeah, I think it's gonna be enough. Damir, he's not that great of a fighter. He's not that great of a ground fighter. He's been taken down in pretty much all of his fights, so I wouldn't put it past him that Moicano could get the guy to the ground, just because Damir gets taken down by every fucking buddy. But I wouldn't underestimate Demir either. Like his striking looks pretty good. He's a good pressure fighter, so I do expect him to move forward, and Moicano is going to be more of a matador. So should be a close fight, and I'm expecting Moicano to roll here. So that's a really wide money line though. So I'm gonna go with that decision. So yeah, that's where my pick is.
The win over Moicano's win over Jeremy Stevens, was that did he get a takedown in that fight, or is it the fight against Cater?
Yeah, he got a takedown like probably like a couple late round ones. I think.
Yeah.
A few late round ones. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's always going to be there for him to like stall the fight out if the fight's close. So I don't expect the Demir Hadzovic to do any takedown. So
Yeah.
Demir literally only has one path to victory here, which is his hand. So that's pretty much what it is. Pretty cut and dry.
The thing is, having said that, you're saying Hadzovic has only one chance to win, which is his hands, and Kenyaro's coming off two KO finishes.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but we're talking about Aldo and Fikazi.
I know that. Hadzovic's not Aldo, so I know what you're saying, but I'm just just throwing it out there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's been put out.
Maybe like a Hadzovic no scorecards. If that price is good, it could be interesting.
Yeah, or maybe throw some money on his KO or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
if his KO line is juicy, I would play that. Like if it's like
throw a hot dollar on that.
The KO line is currently plus 675, and then
give me 1,000, I'll throw $1 in it. But otherwise,
no scorecards is plus 270.
I like that. I'll play that no scorecard line at plus 270 all day. I like that.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So we have the co-main event. This one is a doozy because I'm the biggest fan of Damian Maia on the planet. So you're gonna hear a little bit of bias from me. However,
me too.
Yeah, I'm a fucking huge fan of Damian Maia, so I'm taking over this one here. So Damian Maia is the fucking grandmaster of jiu-jitsu. I don't care what anybody says, and if you think otherwise, then you suck. So Damian Maia is, I think, in my opinion, is the best jiu-jitsu fighter in MMA. And when I say best jiu-jitsu fighter in MMA, like I'm talking about in MMA, not in the jiu-jitsu world. I mean, he's one of the guys in jiu-jitsu in BJJ, but when it comes to translation in MMA, I think it's not even close. This guy is the best jiu-jitsu fighter in MMA because I think the reason why I think he's the best is because I think he has the best half guard sweep in the game. And when I say that, it's like he'll grab a single leg, he'll run the pipe on you, he'll move his head on both sides of your chest, he'll look for the single leg. If he doesn't get the single leg, he'll switch to the double leg. If he doesn't get the double leg, he'll fucking pull you into his guard, run that little butterfly and fucking do that little half guard sweep and take your back, and you're fucking, and all of a sudden you fucking got yourself a new gen sport. And fucking I wish I had the skills like him. Like I'd fucking be coming out here and taking dudes out in jiu-jitsu, but like, man, that's a really rare thing to do, especially in MMA when you're getting punched as well. And he's really, really good at not getting punched and doing that. I think what does he call it? Berimbolo? I think that's what they call it in jiu-jitsu, where you're just like working that single leg. But anyways,
Berimbolo or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm such a huge fan of Damian Maia, and in this matchup against Gilbert Burns, I forgot to read the odds, but Maia is plus 155 and Burns is negative 175, and I think I've read everywhere that everybody's gonna be on Gilbert Burns, and I'm not mad at that either. Look at the age gap. Damian Maia is one more fight away from retirement, so he's wrapping up his career. He's 42 years old. Gilbert Burns is also a jiu-jitsu champion. Who's 10 years younger and which much better striking, and I'm gonna leave like my money's on Damian Maia, and I'm not getting mad if he loses as well, just because I do see him like he can definitely lose here because Gilbert would probably outstrike him, and then just because Gilbert is also a jiu-jitsu black belt world champion, he could probably hang with Damian Maia on the ground. So I think Gilbert could definitely crack him and take over the fight from there. But the reason why I think Damian Maia is going to win is just because this guy's fought really big opponents in his career, and Gilbert has fought lightweights for the most of his career, and I think how it's going to play out is Maia is the better positional grappler, and I've seen Gilbert Burns flop to his back plenty of times in his career, and every opponent that Gilbert's ever fought was afraid to take him down, and so every single time Gilbert would just throw heat, and nobody would ever dare to take him down, So he kind of threw with with the freedom to just throw whatever he wanted, and I think Damian Maia is not afraid to take this guy down, and I think he has the better positional grappling, and I think he's going to end up on top, and that's pretty much my prediction, and both of them gas as well, so I can see both of them having a really close third round, but Damian Maia is my guy, and I'm gonna ride with him. I'm probably gonna add more thoughts towards the end of this breakdown, but I'm gonna pass the mic on to one of you guys.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So this is the number 2 of 3 fights that I bet prior to leaving Vegas. I have Damian Maia at plus one.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. I have Damian Maia.
Burns, bro.
David Maia plus 175. So
It's a good price too.
Yeah, plus 175 Damian Maia. I'm not going to even mention the age, because age is, in my opinion, it's not really relevant in this fight. Maia is not showing any signs of slowing down. He's actually improved a little bit over the years. So Maia's riding a 3-fight win streak. He beat Lyman Good, subbed him in the first round. He beat Rocco Martin, which was a scary fight on paper, but not so much during the actual fight, for me at least. So that went to a decision, majority of decision, and then he I think he ended Ben Askren's overall MMA career, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah. So he beat Ben Askren. We have Gilbert Burns. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He beat Olivier Aubin-Mercier by decision. He beat Mike Davis by submission. It's not really a big win in my opinion. Then he beat Alexei Kunchenko, which was a good win, and then he beat Gunnar Nelson, which is another good win. We have stat-wise, we have Damian Maia. He's 6'1". Gilbert Burns is 5'10". Reach-wise, Maia is he has a 1-inch reach advantage. Maia is listed as a southpaw, and we have orthodox for Burns. As far as fighting, as far as striking goes, obviously Gilbert Burns has an overall striking advantage. He has better hands, better kicks. He's faster, and he has decent power, which worries me a little bit. But it's gonna if he can't get if he can't land some big shots in the first round with his hands, that power is gonna go away after that first round. Because Maia, he'll be the bigger, much stronger guy in there, especially when he gets in the clinch. But his head's kind of there to be hit. So if he makes out of that first round without taking too many shots to the head, then I think he'll win for sure. Or not for sure, but I think he'll win. And I think that Maia's overall boxing game we saw against, who was it? I forgot who it was against. But Maia's boxing game, it's improved. It's improving. He's still not a great boxer, but he's willing to take shots, to land shots. He's willing to come forward. Lately, he's been willing to come forward, and instead of just kind of going for the takedown, he's willing to strike prior to going to the takedown. For the takedown, right now he's in his I don't give a fuck mode, where he's just going all out in all his fights. Before, he was just kind of like a jiu-jitsu forward guy. Now he's willing to stand and bang, and stand and bang enough to get it to where he wants. Um, I think that if Burns can't do serious damage or get a finish in that first round with a big shot, I think that Maya's gonna eventually close the distance and find himself in the clinch, and then once he gets a hold of Burns, I don't think it's gonna be too difficult to take him down. He's taken down way bigger guys, way better wrestlers. Burns is not that, from what I remember, he's not that great of a defensive wrestler in the first place. I mean, he's obviously legit on the ground for BJJ purposes, but he's not that great of a offensive nor defensive wrestler. Who did he get taken by? I mean, he's been taken down by, let's see here, Rashid Magomedov. I mean, the striker, which is, I think he's like a pure boxer. He's been taken down by baby Michelle Prazeres, who's now on that suspension for juicing. He's been taken down by Jason Sago, who's not in the UFC anymore. He's that Canadian guy, the jiu-jitsu guy. But I think once Maya gets it into close quarters, he'll be able to do his thing. And yeah, just like I said, as long as he doesn't get tore up on the feet in that first round, take too many shots to the head, then I think he's going to be able to employ his grapple heavy game plan, and it's probably going to go to a decision.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that what's his face, Burns.
If it does finish, maybe Burns knocks him out. I don't know, just out of age, but yeah, I think it's gonna go decision too.
Because like Maya is like, he's good at getting it to where he wants to, but he's not like, if he gets you down, he's not. It's not like 100% lock that he's gonna finish you. And also, the guy he's facing is elite on the ground also.
Yeah, they're both jiu-jitsu champions, so I don't. Yeah.
What's his decision line? Do we know that? Maya, or both of them?
260.
So 260 for Maya, his decision.
270, yeah.
270. Okay.
So yeah, I'm already on that. Yeah.
If I didn't have the plus 175, I would definitely take that plus 270 on his money line, for Damian Maya. So yeah, I mean, if it was minus 110 apiece, I'd feel hesitant, but I would still roll with Maya, and him being the dog and being the bigger guy, and him, he was a former 185er who's facing a small 170er. So yeah, I like Maya here, a decision plus 175.
Let's go. Win one for the good guys. Let's go.
Yeah, and the old guys for me.
Yeah. Just to take a slight detour, like you just reminded me. So Damian Maya finished off Ben Askren's career. Ben Askren had a weird career. Like, this guy was hyped so much before he came to the UFC. So he shows up, he has a weird win over Lawler, KO'd by Masvidal, and then I totally forgot about that Maya fight, subbed by Maya, and he retires. That was weird. It's a weird run.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you guys have said. And especially, like, going back to your intro, Johnny, of how great Maya is. Like, what I love about Maya is his positional control. Like, I hate these pure Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys that go in there and pull guard. Like, they'll just like throw two punches and fall on their back. Like, I just freaking hate that. So you can't win MMA fights laying on your back. Like, you just can't, unless you're that Ezekiel choke guy. So it's like, it's just not the way to fight. So Damian Maya has just figured out how to move forward and how to have top control. And like, I can't even remember the last time Damian Maya was on bottom for like any amount of time. Like, if he's on bottom, it's only a matter of time before he's on top. So yeah, I kind of agree that age doesn't matter. It matters in the striking. But Damian Maya does not waste any time getting somebody against the fence, getting the clinch, and then it's just a wrap. Like, Damian Maya just does what he does. So I'm a little scared to bet him because Burns hits hard. Like, I could see Burns throwing a few punches and like Maya just crumpling. Like, he's tough. I'm not taking anything away from Maya. Super tough guy, but Burns hits hard. So if Burns just... But here's the other thing that I'm thinking. Like, some of these jiu-jitsu guys, it's like a matter of pride for them, right? So that's what happened to Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson's like, oh, this is my chance to do grappling and stuff with Maya, and he got schooled. So if Burns is like proud and thinks, oh, this is my chance to have a jiu-jitsu competition with Maya. I think he's gonna get home. If he does the smart thing and tries to strike, then I think he can win. But I don't think he will. I think he will grapple, and I think he'll lose. So yeah, I'm rolling with you guys too on Maya.
Yeah, and I expect Gilbert to want to grapple with Maya. He's never not grappled, you know. But
Yeah.
the one thing I am a little bit afraid of is like just for some reason in the back of my head I see this a knee coming up right at the middle and hitting Damien in the jaw or something like that. I don't know, you know, I'm a little bit afraid of that, but I can definitely see that happening. And I definitely see everybody's like, you know, views on Gilbert Burns is probably going to win this by decision or something, you know. But man, just I can't bet against him, and like I really do think there's a path to victory for him, and I expect him to win some positional grappling here against Burns, and yeah, man, I'm gonna be rooting for him. So let's go, good guy, Maya. Let's go. He's such a nice dude too. Like I feel like sometimes that translates into your fighting style because this guy makes no excuses when he loses. Like he has great character as a person, you know, and I really recognize that, and you know, I'm inspired by that. So definitely.
Yeah.
And my bad. One last thing, it's always good to fade Henry Hoof fighters too. So yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna mention that, like, because you had mentioned
last time, right?
you had mentioned that several times before. I was gonna say, didn't you say to fade those guys?
Yeah, I beat you to the punch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the last thing I was gonna say aside from that was I'm still sticking with the fact that Gilbert has heavy hands in the first round. But then I went to go look at how many knockouts he has. So he has 17 total wins in MMA, and out of those 17 wins, he has 5 knockouts, and he hasn't knocked anyone out since April of 2018. So his last 4 wins in a row were decision, submission, decision. Then he lost a knockout to Dan Hooker, and then the 2 guys he knocked out. One was April 2018 against Dan Moret, who's not even in the UFC anymore. He's not good. And then Jason Sago in 2017, he's not good either. And he was chinny also, if you remember at the last fight in the UFC, he just kind of, that might have been it actually. How Jason Sago just he went brawling. He went to brawl because he knew he couldn't sub. You know, he can't sub someone who's like hella better than him at his own game. So, but yeah, so those 2 guys who are not even in the UFC anymore, he knocked both of them out in 2018, 2017, and then the last knockout before that was all the way back in 2014 on the regional scene. So there's that, and then Damian Maia hasn't been knocked out since Nate Marquardt in August 2009. So it's been over 10 years. So.
Yep.
So
fade Henry Hoof fighters.
Anyway,
they are not great. They're not anybody from Henry Hoof camp. They're all like really low IQ guys. So it never fails. So really low IQ. So yep, there it goes.
All
right. Main event. All right, this one's a doozy too because we have fighter Kevin Lee versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira. There's been a lot of back and forth online that I've seen. Like, there's a lot of people on Charles Oliveira, there's a lot of people on Lee. I think this is going to be like kind of 50-50 as far as like people picking sides. I've already picked my side. I know you guys have already picked your side. So let's duke it out. So I'm gonna let you guys go first. Go
ahead. So I love Charles Oliveira here. I love him as a fighter. I love him in the spot. I love that he's at home. I think that Kevin Lee is skilled, but he's like, I don't know. People still think like that he's on his, like they think he's back. He got that one win against that good prospect, and he's back. I mean, prior to that, he was on that 2-fight losing streak. He beat. He's only lost to good guys, but I mean, he was close to. He was close to kind of just hanging him up there, as according to himself. And then he also said, going into this fight, that he knows that if he loses, his career is over. So he has that in the back of his mind. I like that. Oh, actually, not I like. We have. I'm going to read out the stats real quick. We have 5'9". Kevin Lee's 5'9". Charles Oliveira's 5'10". Reach goes to Kevin Lee with 3-inch reach advantage, both orthodox. Kevin
Boy got
Lee,
some orangutan arms.
yeah, yeah. And then I think what's his face? Charles Oliveira is mostly long in his legs versus his arms. He's got those long legs. We have Kevin Lee's a few years younger. I think like 3 total around there. They're similar in strikes landed per minute. We got 3.9 versus 3.2. So Kevin Lee has 3.9. Oliveira has 3.2 strikes landed per minute. Strikes absorbed, we have 3.1 versus 3.0. So I mean, they're around the same there. So yeah, I like the fact that I've seen a lot of improvement from Oliveira. I mean, granted, he's been facing not the toughest competition, but what I've seen in the fights, his like performance wise, he's been improving from fight to fight, and he's been slowly building up his confidence, building back up his confidence after being on that losing streak, which is good to see because he's still young. So right now Oliveira's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight win streak. He beat the Ghost of Clay Guida in 2018. He beat Christos Giagos, who's like a mid-tier fighter. He beat Jim Miller, who's not elite anymore, but he's not bad. He beat David Tamor, which is a good win. He subbed him. He beat Nick Lentz. I'm not sure why they fought again, but it was a easy win there for him. And then he beat Jared Gordon, which was another. It's a respectable win in my opinion, but I mean Jared Gordon didn't have any business being in the cage with him. So we have 6 fights in a row, all finishes: submission, a TKO, and then a KO from Charles Oliveira. So there's certain people talking about how 5 rounds is going to favor Kevin Lee. I totally disagree with that. His thing is he doesn't have the gas for like going hard for like all rounds. That's how I see him. His wrestling is good, but I think that Oliveira has way better jiu-jitsu. Some people are saying that Kevin Lee's jiu-jitsu is like better or even as good as Oliveira's, which is fucking bullshit in my opinion. It's not. I don't think that's not even the case there. So I like Oliveira's jiu-jitsu. If he does get taken down, he'll be able to defend, possibly even sweep, or even just kind of like shimmy his way back up, depending on where the takedown happens at. So whether he gets taken down or not, I feel that that's not going to be an issue throughout the 5 rounds, especially the deeper it goes. If Lee can't keep him down, then he's gonna just expend more energy. Fighting in Brazil, Oliveira has I think the last time I checked, he hasn't lost a fight in Brazil ever. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't lost a fight in Brazil.
Fighting bums like that, of course.
we all know who you're picking.
Yeah.
So he's never lost in Brazil, so he has that in the back of his mind. He's the hometown fighter. He has that in the back of his mind. He's on a 6-fight win streak. He has that in his mind. Also, when it comes to skill set, Lee has the better jab now that he went to TriStar, which Johnny's going to mention later.
Yep.
So he has a better jab. I mean, aside from the jab, let's say pre-TriStar, I mean, his hands are all right. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like he wasn't some like crazy good boxer. His kicks are okay, but Charles Oliveira, he has way better kicks. His hands are decent. He's just missing the good jab that Lee has. So he has hands are right, way better kicks. I think he has longer legs. Let me see here. He has better cardio, in my opinion, better jiu-jitsu. The wrestling's not going to be as big of a deal in my opinion, as some people are saying it is. I'm kind of missing where Lee's going to shine in any one area aside from the jab. I don't think Lee's going to finish him, and I don't think he's going to do enough to be able to win a decision on the long run. So I have this is my last bet on this card. I took Charles Oliveira plus 130 for $300 when I left. I put that in. It was a William Hill, so I put a bet down in Vegas before I left. So I'm riding with Oliveira here at home, and he's going to keep that win streak alive and represent Brazil, and hopefully be the future champ at 155.
Yeah, this one looks like a fun fight for us to do some push-ups for. For some friendly push-ups. We got to record it and send it to each other. But let's throw a 20 push-ups for between the three of us. So that'll be a fun one to do. Right. Some friendly push-ups, you know. So let's do that.
All right,
20 push-ups, right, guys? Yeah, let's go. What you got, Nemesis?
I'm not like as confident, but I'm also like, I don't want to say I'm on Oliveira. Like, I don't know if I want to bet him, but I just can't bet Kevin Lee here because Oliveira is just so dangerous. Like, when he fights, he just throws sub attempt after sub attempt. So my prediction is that Oliveira will be deep on at least like 2 or 3 subs in the first round. Whether or not he subs him, I don't know, but he will have him in deep trouble in the first round for sure.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can I bet Kevin Lee is going to get out of a really bad situation where he's almost getting subbed? That's what you're betting when you bet Kevin Lee here. So I definitely
to Oliveira in general. That guy can snatch stroke on anybody.
Yeah, so he's incredibly dangerous. He's so game. And like Puerto Rican said, the guy's riding a 6-fight, not just a win streak, a 6-fight finish streak. Like that's a shit ton of confidence to be riding, and you're at home. And I feel like these Brazilians are very emotional, and they're very like that type of confidence, like being at home, being on a win streak. Somebody like Oliveira, like that's plays in big to his mindset because he's very emotional. He's very hypey. So like being at home, being on a win streak, I think that's going to hype him up a lot. And then I feel like Kevin Lee, I don't want to say he's like a mental midget or anything, but I feel like he has some mental weakness when it comes to just being a fighter. Like I'd never heard that before, but Puerto Rican was saying that he said if he loses this fight, he's going to be thinking about retiring and that kind of thing. Like you never want to hear like about retiring when somebody's still fighting. So I kind of feel like Kevin Lee is a little like mentally not as tough. Like Charles Oliveira is a little crazy. Like he's a little nuts, which is good for a fighter. Like he's just going to go in there and try and win, not care. So for my money, I would have to be on Oliveira, especially as a dog, home in Brazil. Yeah, that's probably where my money would be. Or like no scorecards maybe, or his subline if it's okay. That's where I'd be looking to play him.
Yeah, I mean, Oliveira is a fucking good fighter. Like, how could you even deny that? Like, I'm not gonna say he isn't, you know. And I forgot if I read the odds, but Kevin Lee is negative 140 in the comeback on Oliveira plus 120. I think the odds are gonna close a little bit closer. It's gonna be 110 apiece. I'm hoping it would be, but I think it will be. Because I know a lot of people are gonna be on Oliveira here for the exact reasons you guys are mentioning, and I don't like discount any of that either. I just think, for me, I just think Lee has kind of finally turned the corner here, and especially training with TriStar, I saw a lot of what TriStar does, you know, with fighters, and Kevin Lee is like I mentioned, like that jab, that TriStar jab. I think it's going to be a really good weapon for him, and you know, Lee's always been a really good fighter. He's got really good wrestling. He's got good chokes. He's super powerful. He's super strong. And he has good striking, but I feel like he would never be able to put everything all together. And that's what led him to lose to Ikenza twice and you know, like kind of have a lot of hiccups in the road. And but we all forget that this guy got signed when he was like 21 or something. You know, he's been in the UFC for 6 years now. It seems like he's been a veteran for that long, but I mean, he is a veteran, but yeah, this guy's only 27 years old. He's 3 years younger than Charles Oliveira, who also made his debut at like 21 or something. I think Kevin Lee is, I think he's kind of hitting his prime here, and you know, Firas Zahabi is the perfect coach for him to really put everything together. And I saw a lot of things in his last fight. Now I've bet against Kevin Lee a lot of times. Like I bet against him on Dos Anjos. I bet against him against Akinta, and like I bet against him a lot. And I actually bet against him. I took Gregory Gillespie as well, and you know he took my money. But what I saw in that fight was pretty damn impressive. Like what Gillespie is a really good fighter. He has that blast double that he gets everybody with, and the guy might have one of the most powerful double legs in the game. And Kevin Lee came out, and a lot of people were telling me like, well, Kevin Lee has a good jab, but he was also getting jabbed up in that fight too. But I kind of feel like that was the strategy going into the fight, and he knew that it was kind of a give or take because one thing you don't want is Greg Gillespie getting underneath your punches and taking you down and riding you out, and that's pretty much what Kevin Lee did. Was he kind of walked in there with a really wide stance, and then it kind of helped him too because when Gregory Gillespie shot for a double leg, he shucked him off right off because he held a really low stance, and so it kind of forced Gregory Gillespie to strike with him, and because he had a low stance, obviously he's going to get jabbed up, because it kind of plants his feet. It didn't really allow him to be light on his feet, and so they started trading jabs, and Gillespie hit him plenty of times with a jab. Kevin Lee was just snapping him, man. I'm telling you, man, that jab is going to dictate everything. And that was, it seemed almost like GSP-esque, It seemed GSP-esque, Joe. I think it's going to pretty much dictate this entire fight because Oliveira doesn't really move his head. He doesn't move his head at all. He stands kind of upright, like Muay Thai style, like Muay Thai fighters are really square and they stand up like right there, and he doesn't move his head much, and I think Lee's gonna snap his head back as well. And working behind a jab, it really dictates the whole flow of your game, and I could see kind of a renaissance for Kevin Lee and training under GSP. I think he's got the physical tools, the athleticism, and the length to really become. I'm not gonna say he's gonna become the next GSP. That's crazy. I'm sure a lot of people are rolling their eyes at me right now. But
Yeah.
no, the guy's got some skills, man, and I think he's going to really flourish putting everything together. And for Charles Oliveira, man, this guy is fucking dangerous. Like you guys mentioned, like this guy's finishing in his last 6 fights, and I was just kidding about it being bums. A lot of those guys are really good, like George Gordon, Nick Lentz, David Turner, Miller. Like those guys are really good fighters, and he's just been mopping through everybody. But like I just cannot get out of my head that Oliveira, like if he doesn't get his way, if he doesn't like these guys are beat, like all the guys that he beat were he expected to beat, and like if he doesn't get his way, he's just like I always see in my head that he just gives up, and he's been like known to quit plenty of times. Like you see on his record, he has 8 losses, and 7 of the losses are by finish. And he's been choked. He's been choked by Ricardo Lamas. He's got choked by Pettis. He's been that mystery knockout, that phantom knockout by Max Holloway. He's been finished before. He's been hit to the body. His body is completely open because, again, he stands upright. He has his hands up to block his face, but his body is completely open. That's how Cub Swanson and Donald Cerrone got him to the body and put him out. Of course, those are old fights, obviously, and he's probably a lot better now, but his fighting style hasn't really changed much since back then. And those open, I mean, he's still open to those kind of things. And I've seen like opponents that he's beaten in the last 6 fights, like kind of land some of those punches that I see that's open. And I don't think anything's changed as far as that goes. And then Paul Felder, he took all his fucking energy to finish Paul Felder in that first round. And once he couldn't get that, I mean, Paul Felder could really feel him weakening. And then Paul Felder goes out and takes him down in the second round and gave him a little elbow diet, like a steady diet of elbows and finished him. So I can see that happening with Kevin Lee here. Kevin Lee is definitely like going to be a lot stronger than him, and I can see Oliveira wilting if he doesn't like put the stamp on Kevin Lee early in the fight. And by the second and third round, if Oliveira doesn't Oliver doesn't like do some damage, I feel like he's gonna wilt and Kevin Lee's gonna take over and end up finishing this fight. I think he's gonna finish this fight, to be honest. I'm pretty sure of it. Well, I'm not pretty sure of it. I mean, I'm not the fucking guy in there training, so I'm not gonna say I'm sure of anything, but I'm kind of leaning towards Kevin Lee here. I wouldn't be surprised if Oliveira comes out and beats him just because, Kevin Lee, like you guys mentioned, this guy's kind of a mental case as well. Just, losing to Alquinta twice, and this guy talks a lot of shit. I don't really like his personality a lot, and I don't like his character. He's a dickhead. This guy's a fucking, he's very arrogant. But it's kind of a double-edged sword too. His arrogance leads him to lose against guys like Alquinta and shit like that. But his arrogance also allows him to kind of give himself like supreme confidence. Like he knows that like he's still a work in progress, and I like his confidence. I don't like his arrogance. It's a thin line to be walking, but I think he walks both sides of the line, and it could get him in trouble a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna be on Kevin Lee here. I think he's gonna finish this fight as soon as Oliveira wilts, like he tends to do. And I expect Oliveira to get him in some precarious positions and almost snatch up a choke, and possibly snatch the choke. Like fuck, this guy might just fucking snatch the choke. You put your head where it don't belong. I think Oliveira can take it. Yeah, I expect Kevin Lee to take over once Oliveira slows down here, and I think he's gonna be the next contender again. So yeah, and then also one thing I don't like about Oliveira is that like once he if he's losing a stand up and if he can't get you down, he just automatically rolls to his guard. Like, have you guys seen that before? Like, he just rolls to his guard, and like, another one of those things where like, come on, man, don't fucking roll to your guard. But then again, nobody really wants to enter his guard anyways, just because he's so fucking dangerous there. So nobody really want to fall into there. But Felder went into his guard and just elbowed him, and I think Kevin Lee's gonna do the same. He's gonna give him some elbows and hurt him here. I might throw a little bit of money on Kevin Lee by submission at plus 650 here too. So that's something I'm kind of staring at. But yeah, this one's gonna be a fun fight because everybody's all over the place with these picks, and I know you guys are. I know you're on Lee. I mean, I know you're on Charles Oliveira. I know Lemons. I know you're like leaning on the fence, but you're probably gonna be on Oliveira too. But yeah, this fight is gonna be a fun one, and it's gonna be a fun one when you got picks all over the place. So. I think we're in for a good one. If this fucking fight if this fight even fucking happens, man. I feel like we might have spent an hour and a half on nothing if this fight fucking doesn't even come through, if they really cancel this shit, because I'm fucking scared, man. I'm all three of us, like, we're all fucking MMA fans, like, we're all like diehard hardcores, and if they cancel the fights, I'm gonna be devastated. I'm gonna be really sad.
Yeah.
But like that's a loss for all of us, especially for bettors too, because guys we all love the bet too. That makes it more exciting. And yeah, fuck. And the next upcoming card is like, fuck, man. I hope those ones happen too, man.
Yeah, this card, like after this card, like I was telling you the other day, Johnny, that for the next like 3 months, there's there's no really great card in my opinion. Like there's some decent fights like here and there, but like it's not really looking too great as far as from a betting perspective. So yeah, between now and like the beginning of June, it's like I don't know if I'm gonna go to Vegas or not. But I don't know. I mean, I'll watch all the cards, but it just doesn't look like there's that many great cards in general from a betting perspective.
I'm just pumped to see Tony Khabib. That's all I want to see.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
Oh man, what if that fight doesn't happen either?
Oh yeah, shit.
Can you imagine?
New York, bro, fucking New York. Oh my god.
Do you guys want to just do a quick take on that fight? Do we have time?
Yeah, of course we have time. I mean, this could, who the fuck knows? This could be our last fucking podcast for up until something, until the pandemic goes away. So go ahead, have at it. For me, I'm always looking for a way to bet Tony, because he's always a great dog. I think Khabib's gonna win. I do think that Ferguson has a path. I mean, I do think Ferguson is live too, though. I think the 4th and 5th round is going to be where the tricky part comes, and I think those are going to be Ferguson's magic rounds. If he were to win this fight, I think that's where he can possibly shine. But man, who the fuck can bet against Khabib? You can't fucking bet against him and expect to be confident in any way, shape or form. So Ferguson makes so fucking many mistakes. Like Ferguson is a great fucking fighter, but I don't even think he knows what he's doing in the cage. Like and the same thing for his personality. Like when somebody hands him the mic, I don't think even he knows what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so true.
yeah, this guy doesn't even know what he's saying. Like, what the fuck is this guy saying? Like, it's fucking cringe. Like, you know, and then it kind of like the way he talks is the way he fights. Like, I don't think he knows what the fuck he's doing in the cage, but his pacing and his fucking like the way his ability to just hurt you from any fucking position. Like he throws everything at you and he makes it a war of attrition and he makes it into a fight to where like he's gonna outlast you and out hurt you and out fucking everything you and it's possible in this fight, you know, if he makes Khabib work, and that fourth and fifth round is going to be really tricky for him. So,
Yeah.
Khabib by decision for me. I don't think Khabib's going to finish the fight, but man, Tony gets hit so much. So who knows?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the over here. I'm going to sprinkle some Tony Ferguson money just for the fun of it, but I don't expect it to hit. I think Khabib's going to win.
I mean, for me, I mean, I would really love if Tony won. That would be sick. But
Yeah, I would love it too, actually.
I mean, I just think that by the time this fight is done, we're gonna say, "Oh man, I wish this fight happened years ago, back when they should have fought the first or second time, because it's like the fifth time, right? That they're trying to set it up." So I think that by the time it's done, we're gonna say that how it should happen years ago.
They should have
And
fought 5 times. It's
yeah,
so fun.
and I think that Khabib's gonna win. I think Khabib's gonna win via knockout. I think he's going to. I was looking at his knockout line right here. It says plus 600. So
You mean TKO, right?
well TKO line. It's plus 600.
Right. I mean, like, I don't think he's gonna put him out standing or like one punch. You know, it'll probably be like a referee comes in, you know, and stops it from a crucifix or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or some shit, yeah.
So yeah, as you mentioned, Tony gets hit a lot. And also while Khabib's not like a good puncher, I mean, not a skilled technical puncher or striker, he does have some power, as we saw against Connor, and he almost dropped him. He made him do some I don't know if it was a chicken leg, but he made him lose his balance.
Right, but Connor's scared to get taken down. I don't think Tony is, so you know. So.
And then while I do think Tony can like handle himself on the ground, I just think at some point Khabib's going to get him in a position where he's just eating a bunch of shots, and I think probably a TKO. I don't know. It's hard to say just because like even remember when Tony fought what's his face, that little Lando Venata, when he made his short nosed debut, he got fucking he almost got knocked out in that fight with that head kick. And he's eaten so many shots. He's been wobbled a bunch, been hurt a bunch, but he's so tough and good in every area. But I just think that Khabib's going to find a way to get some type of KO, TKO on Tony at some point. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like, I think Khabib, like, just positionally, he's so strong. Like, I get the hype on Tony, and I love Tony as a fan, but like, you just can't beat strong positioning. Like, it's same as Maya, right? Like, he's so smart, and he's got it down to a science. And like, people talking about like Tony's elbows and all that, it's like, Khabib's tough, dude. He does not care. Like, if you elbow him in the face and you split his face open, he doesn't care. Like, he'll just keep fighting. So I don't really understand I don't get how Tony wins this fight. But what I could see is like fourth or fifth round, Khabib's gassed, and then Tony takes over and finishes. I could see that. But like, just watching tape for this card, even against Kevin Lee, like, Tony was getting worked. I'm pretty sure Kevin Lee like had Tony mounted in the first round and was like teeing off on it. So he's not, like you said, Johnny. He's just crazy. He's all over the place, and it works. But
he's the right type of crazy, though.
I love him, but he's like the exact opposite of a technician. So it's like,
yeah.
I don't really feel like he has a real answer to Khabib's like technician way of taking you down, wrapping your legs. It's just you know. So yeah.
Can't wait,
I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts.
I've done write-ups for this fight 4 fucking times. After the fourth time, I was like, I'm fucking done, bro. I wrote a fucking essay on this fucking fight 4 times, man. I'm fucking done. And now the fucking coronavirus might stop it again. Oh my god, what are we doing here? Why are we talking about this shit?
I know. Fuck.
Fuck, man. And just real quick before we wrap up the show, can you guys go over some of your like what you guys recommending or what you guys betting on this card real quick? I'll start. I'm going with Kevin Lee. I'm taking Damian Maya by decision. Taking Kevin Lee by finish. Marcano by decision. You don't have to go over all of them, but I'm actually planning on betting some of these. But I'm taking the over for Trinaldo McDessie. I'm also taking a little bit on a Trinaldo decision. I'm gonna go with the over for Brazola and Yaya, and I'm gonna put a little bit of money on Dvorak. So yeah, those are my picks.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let me see here. I'll start with my 3 bets. So my 3 bets, starting from the top of the card, ones that I felt comfortable betting on, were Charles Oliveira at plus 130, his money line, and then Damian Maya. No, is it Damian? Yeah, Damian Maya plus 175 money line. And then Nikita Krylov at plus 125, his money line. So those are the only fights that I feel comfortable betting on for this card. But overall, I do like who do I think is going to win, like just straight outright. I think that Yaya is going to beat Barzola. I think Lazu Zaleski dos Santos is going to beat Kinchenko. I like Meta Ribas over Randa Marcos. I like Jussier Formiga over Brandon Moreno.
Those are your bets?
Oh no, well the bets are the 3 I mentioned first.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and these are just my picks. So Formiga over Moreno, Trinaldo over McDessie, Krylov over Walker, Moicano over Hadzovic, Maya over Burns, and then Oliveira over Lee. That's it.
Yeah, there's no spots here that like I think warrant anything major, but I love the price on Randa Marcos. I will bet that. That's just kind of dog hunting though, and I'll bet it for a decent amount because the price is really good. And then I'll probably end up playing Damian Maya small, Johnny Walker small, and Zaleski small. And then I'll probably end up somehow playing Oliveira. I don't know how, but I'll be on him in some way.
Cool.